I used to work as a night security guard at a small apartment complex called Black Ridge Apartments. It wasn't in a dangerous area, just one of those older suburban properties built in the late 80s. Brick buildings, dim parking lot lights, and long echoing hallways. I took the job because I needed something quiet. My shift was from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Most nights were uneventful. I'd sit in the small security office near the front gate, watch the camera feeds, and do hourly patrols around the property. At least, that's how it was supposed to be. About 3 weeks into the job, I noticed something strange. Every night around 2:17 a.m., one of the cameras would briefly cut to static, just for maybe 3 seconds. It was always the same camera, Building C, a third-floor hallway. At first, I assumed it was faulty wiring. The complex was old, and management wasn't exactly quick with repairs. But what bothered me wasn't the glitch itself. It was what happened right before it. The camera would flicker, and just before the screen went gray, there would be movement at the far end of the hallway. Not fast movement, not someone walking, more like someone standing there. The first time I saw it clearly, I leaned forward in my chair. There was a person at the end of the hallway, just standing, facing the camera. The image quality wasn't great, but I could tell they were tall, maybe wearing a hoodie. Their face was impossible to make out because of the distance and lighting. Then the screen went to static. 3 seconds later, it came back online. The hallway was empty. I checked the timestamp, 2:17 a.m. exactly. I rewound the footage. Nothing, no person, no flicker, just an empty hallway. I remember sitting there with my hand still on the mouse, telling myself I was tired. Night shifts mess with your head. Your brain fills in blanks that aren't there. Still, at 3 a.m. during my patrol, I made sure to stop by Building C. The hallway was quiet. Beige walls, brown carpet, emergency exit sign humming faintly at the far end, no one there. I walked the full length, checked the stairwell, and even looked out the third-floor window toward the parking lot. Nothing unusual. For the next few nights, it kept happening. 2:17 a.m., flicker, figure, static, gone. Always the same spot, always facing the camera. I started dreading that minute. I'd catch myself staring at the clock around 2:15, waiting for it. One night, I decided to be proactive. At 2:10 a.m., instead of staying in the office, I went up to the third floor of Building C and stood at the hallway, roughly where the figure would appear on camera. The hallway was empty. The air felt stale, like most apartment corridors at night. I checked my phone. 2:16 a.m. I turned and looked toward the camera mounted on the ceiling near the elevator. For a split second, I felt stupid. Then the overhead lights flickered, not off, just dimmed. I looked down the hallway toward the far end, the place where the figure usually stood on camera, and that's when I saw it. Someone was there, a tall man. He was standing completely still about 30 feet away from me. He wasn't facing the camera now, he was facing me. I don't know how I didn't notice him before. There are no corners or blind spots there. It's a straight hallway. He wore a dark gray hoodie with the hood up. His hands were at his sides. I couldn't see his face clearly because the light above him was slightly dimmer. We just stared at each other. I assumed he was a resident. "Hey," I called out, trying to sound casual. "Everything okay?" He didn't respond, didn't move. I took a few slow steps forward. "Sir?" Still nothing. Then my radio crackled loudly on my belt, nearly making me jump out of my skin. It was the front gate sensor, indicating a car entering the property. The sudden noise broke my focus for maybe 2 seconds. When I looked back down the hallway, he was gone. Not walking away, not turning a corner. Gone. The only doors nearby were apartment units, and they're heavy. You'd hear one open or close. There was no sound. I walked down to where he had been standing. The carpet was undisturbed. I listened closely. Silence. I checked the stairwell. Empty. Elevator? Still on the first floor. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Genuine fear. I went back to the office and immediately pulled up the footage from Building C, 2:17 a.m. There I was, standing in the hallway. At the far end, nothing. No man. No second figure. Just me. Alone. Then the screen flickered to static for 3 seconds. When it came back, I was still there, staring down the hallway. Alone. I replayed it 4 times. Nothing. The next morning, I reported it to my supervisor. I expected him to laugh it off. He didn't. He got quiet. Then he asked me a question that made my stomach drop. Was he tall? Gray hoodie? I nodded. My supervisor leaned back in his chair and rubbed his face. About 8 months ago, he said, there was a break-in attempt in Building C, 3rd floor.